want to share with everyone is simply this. It was a conversation that I had with Ryan, probably last summer, some time ago, but in the summer, where I really got the idea for this whole series. After speaking to him, it was clear to me that he is a thought leader in the arena of real estate and everything real estate, and very, very mission driven in what he's up to. Very much about one of our taglines for the Burns School has always been connecting people, purpose, and projects. And I think he's definitely all about that, but his creativity and innovation, and not just what he's doing, but how they're, as a company, how they're thinking about what they're doing. So in all honesty, this is the individual who prompted this whole series. And so I'm so happy to really be able to introduce you to Ryan today and let you have an opportunity to speak with him as well. I'm sure that you will see things perhaps in different ways when he's done with this conversation today. So Ryan, I'm just going to let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Barbara Spitfire Jackson. I'm glad that you took away the screen slide share, because I just prefer to see people and hopefully they can see me. First thing that I'm going to do is in the chat box, I'm putting 3 websites because they're sort of 3 of the companies that I'm working on today. Barbara and Cece did a great job of introducing me, and way too generous in their description. Really happy to be here. I'm an alum of University of Denver, graduated in 2002. Everything good in my life has come from DU, I feel like, so I'm a giant proponent. And I wasn't actually trained classically in real estate. The brief background on me is that my first passion in life was travel. And so I did a study abroad at DU, and then I got done and I traveled some more, and I just traveled some more. And I've spent several years overseas around the world traveling. And early on in my career, I decided that I wasn't nice enough to work for somebody else, and that I wanted to try and be an entrepreneur. And so when I was 24 years old, after having traveled for a few years, I decided to start a business. And actually with Craig Harrison, give credit to Craig Harrison. He's a member of the board of trustees of DU. He's a peer of mine. He and I started our first company together. It was called Scout Cleaning. And I was an entrepreneur. I had $250 to my name, and started this little cleaning company, cleaning people's houses. So just a really silly start, but it was really neat because we actually ran and grew that business for about 14 years. And I sold that business just in 2017. We went on to found another company called US Capital, and we exited that company in 2008. My real estate world began in 2008. And it was before I had any of these names, any of the names that you see on the website. This was just like, gosh, here's Ryan. I've just sold out of this private equity company called US Capital. And what is the world made up of today? Well, for those of you that are old enough to have lived through it, 2008 was very dynamic due to the subprime foreclosure real estate collapse. And I just looked around and I said, geez, now's the time to buy some real estate. And so I took a little bit of money that I had made, and I raised a lot more money from some other individuals that thought I was a good enough, 28-year-old punk to invest in. And we started to buy properties at foreclosure sale. And it began with single family distressed real estate. We started as a fix and flip company in 2008, and we walked into those foreclosure auctions and we bought everything plus a buck. If they were going to sell for $50,000, we bought it for $50,000 and $1, because there was nobody else trying to buy real estate. And over the first year and a half of our business, we did about 500 fix and flips, and really had a good business going with this little fix and flip model. But I turned to my business partner at the time, who now was a gentleman named Jason Shepard, and he's a guy that is my business partner on all of my endeavors today, and he's like a brother to me. He is a brother to me. He's not like a brother to me. He is a brother. And I said, hey, this is great. We're making money in the fix and flip business, but the problem is we have 2 issues with our business model. The first issue is every time we fix up a house and we sell it, we get our money back. We made some money. That's great. But then we have to take that money and what do we have to show for it? We didn't build any infrastructure. We didn't build any foundation. We just have to take all that money and push it back on Black and go invest in another property. And every time we have to take new risk and new risk and new risk. That's a fundamentally flawed business model. The second problem with it is our biggest partner in all the fix and flips that we did, frankly, is the federal government. Because every time we made money, we were paying short-term gain. 40% of the money we made went to the government. And when we didn't make money, they didn't chip in. So from the end of 2009 until today, I've moved from a short-term oriented person to incredibly long-term oriented. And everything that I do in real estate, everything that I do in business has 10, 20, 30-year lenses on it. So today we own a really nice portfolio of commercial real estate, residential real estate. So this is multifamily, single family, industrial, office, mixed use, urban infill, restaurant, retail, everything except for we don't have any hospitality. We don't have any trailer parks. That's kind of the only two categories of real estate that I don't own. All of it is owned in a very long-term fashion. From 2008 to 2014, we probably acquired about 4,000 properties at foreclosure auction. And we did this really under the radar. You know, we didn't have a marketing name. We have a name for this company that nobody would ever even hear in their lives because it was sort of taboo to buy these at a foreclosure sale. But we had a lot of success there. In about 2012, we started to get bugged by the biggest institutional capital sources in our country for real estate. So Blackstone, Colony Capital, Starwood, a lot of these really big institutional sources of capital started to bug us, and they said, hey, you kind of know how to acquire single family real estate in particular, as well as manage it. Would you help us to acquire our portfolios of single family real estate for rent? So in 2012, there was a new industry that started in real estate, SFR. Now it's made up of some big players that are publicly traded, but we helped those groups to develop their portfolios. So Invitation Homes is a publicly traded company that was originally backed by Blackstone. And they own about 80 to 90,000 single family homes across the country. And we help them to amass their portfolio in certain regions of the country where they own a lot of real estate. First Key, which is backed by Cerberus Capital Management, we've helped them. Home Partners of America, backed by Goldman, we've helped them. So some really nice sources in there that we help them in understanding this pedigree of single family real estate and how it can percolate and come to be. And then through that, we've developed some other businesses. So Atlas Real Estate is one of them. I can talk about the 4 business lines that we serve through Atlas Real Estate. Reactive is another one, and that's a new business. That's a commercial real estate marketplace. Archipelago is a community. It's sort of an intentional social club or community that we started a few years ago. So I'd say that I'm first and foremost a sort of a startup entrepreneur guy. Opportunity exists in real estate. I can see that, and I've decided to take a couple bets on real estate. And today I've got sort of this family of companies and a lot of real estate that we own. And I do think that we're on the forefront of understanding how real estate is changing in a couple of categories. There's too many of them to be an expert on all, but there's a couple that we know a little bit about. So that's a brief background as to where I am. I'm sure I left out a ton of details, but I'll pause there and see if we're on the right track, Barbara.
So Ryan, that all is a great start, sharing about your background. I do want you to say a little more before you go on into some of the different families of businesses that you have. I want you to share just a little bit more that, again, you were not formally educated in real estate, and just say a little more about really what kind of inspired you or kind of how you kind of got into it and kind of learn as you go, because you really did.
Thank you. I'll answer that question. Also, I'd like the audience to know that I intentionally didn't create a presentation through which that I was going to take you guys over this next hour. I always find that these conversations are much more valuable when they can be free form. And so it's hard to ask questions. I know they don't come right away, but if you have questions, let me know. If you don't, I'll pick some out and we can run with them, and Barbara has some as well. Yes, I'm not classically trained in real estate. Sometimes I wish I were. There's a lot of value to being classically trained in real estate. I was very fortunate in 2008 to choose that moment as the moment that I started to buy real estate. When you're buying real estate for 1/5 replacement cost, you can make a lot of mistakes and still make money. And I like to look at it that I was trained in the School of Hard Knocks. You know, look at it right now. You guys are all getting your education at DU. We have to pay for an education. That's a fundamental of life. Usually we pay it in a really wise way, like saying, hey, DU, here's my tuition. Let me learn. But a lot of times in life, we pay for that education by getting our teeth kicked in. And usually when we get our teeth kicked in, the cost of education is a lot higher. We go bankrupt on a business idea. We fail personally in our lives, and it costs us deep relationships or a divorce, or we're not as good with our kids. That's the cost of the education. I was really fortunate in my real estate experience that the mistakes that I made in the real estate that we purchased, I got to learn from them. Yes, I got my teeth kicked in, but I still was able to make money while learning because we bought in this golden moment of 2008 to 2014, where frankly, just the buy price cured a lot of our wounds. So I didn't know anything about multifamily when I bought my first 50 units at a foreclosure sale. But when I was buying units at, in the middle of Denver, you guys won't believe this, $15,000 to $20,000 a door, there was a big margin for error. Cheapest multifamily I ever purchased was $3,000 a door. I owned tons of housing in low-high for $50,000 to $70,000 a door. Now, I also owned, and thankfully this isn't owned, I've sold out of this project. One of the foreclosure assets that we bought in low-high was a restaurant with several units attached to it, and it was a 100-year-old building. Well, I didn't know what I was doing in terms of the structure of the building, and the building collapsed. It actually fell down, and that was a pretty painful mistake. That one I actually lost a lot of money on. So I got my teeth kicked in, and I got to pay for it the hard way. But this is how I learned real estate. And so I understand real estate from the bricks and mortar nature of being a grinder and just, almost a bottom feeder of learning the hard way. I don't understand it necessarily from the financials and the cap rate. I had to learn what a cap rate was well after I had already placed millions of dollars into commercial real estate. That's the truth. I had to develop all my own models and financial models to do this. Thankfully, I was able to be self-taught in many ways on how to use those financial models and develop them. And we were severely underbanked for many years. Now, we had a lot of other people that would still support us. We had a lot of private capital that would invest in us. But as you're thinking about real estate, what's your cheapest source of capital? Always, it's the bank. The bank is going to give you 80 or 70% of the capital stack at right now 3 or 4% interest. Now, I still got plenty of money because people saw what we were doing and it was working. But instead of having 80% of my capital stack come at 4% interest, I had 100% coming at a 7% preferred return, plus I had to give them most of the equity. That's a pretty expensive way to build a portfolio. Would have been great to at least have some of it be less expensive capital. So I've backfilled it, and I think that the education I got was great, but I was really fortunate to get that education in a moment where I could also make money. And today, I think that's very challenging to do. I think today to participate in real estate, you almost have to be an expert the day you start.
Yeah. So Ryan, a lot of people are asking, what was your major at DU?
Yeah, so I did benefit from my major at DU because I benefited from understanding how the world works. I couldn't figure out what to major in because, it's like going to Baskin Robbins. I got to try all 31 flavors. That's where travel comes from. People ask me my favorite place to travel. It's like, well, at that point in my life, it was great. I still got like 200 countries to go to. So are there even 200 countries in the world? I don't even know if there are. Anyway, I got a lot of places to go to. So what did I major in? I majored in economics and I majored in international studies. And the thought was the world is governed by economics, the world is governed by business. And then internationally, people think differently. And so then I said, I also want to learn Spanish, and I speak fluent Spanish. And then immediately following college, I moved to China, Taiwan specifically to learn Chinese. And I said, geez, now I have a fundamentally understanding of how the world works. I understand economics, I understand social systems inside of international studies, and the way worlds are governed, countries are governed, but I can also communicate with almost every human between English, Spanish, and Chinese. And then I said, the only way to change the world is business. And that's why I went into business, actually. It was out of the motivation to make the world a better place. And business was my craft. I don't feel that real estate is my craft. And even in the way we express our real estate today, increasingly I'm realizing that what motivates me about real estate is the moments that I can use my real estate to impact humans and planet, and specifically to solve giant problems. Well, I can always do that in business. I can't always do that in real estate. You know, sometimes real estate is just so linear of you invest here and you make money here. My investment mind works, and I know how to do that with real estate. And I think it's the best place to make money, bar none, that I've ever discovered. But I'm much more motivated today as a human in developing and creating solutions to some of our big problems.
That, just to share with everyone, when I first had my conversation with Ryan, that was one of the things we actually discussed, because I'm also of the belief that business is our highest and best opportunity to solve some of the biggest issues. It's never going to be through the NGOs. It's never going to be through nonprofits. That's never going to get there. But business can have such an impact on making big change if it is a holistic approach to the process. And real estate is one of those businesses where you can have quite an impact. And we have a class called City Craft and other classes as well that really our triple bottom line class and classes like that, where these students, Ryan, do get exposed to that fundamental philosophy or concept. So, you know, you're doing quite some interesting things with Reactive and Atlas and other things. Go ahead and start to share with these students kind of your take on some of the about the residential market, the commercial market, and all of that, and what you're doing with those companies.
I'm going to start with Atlas. I'm going to piggyback on what you said about business being the way to impact big problems in the world. What is Atlas Real Estate? If you just look at us and you look at it in a really blank fashion, we look like a brokerage, a residential brokerage, and a residential property management company. I could just stop there. And that's kind of what we are. Is there anything exciting about that? I'm not sure that there is. What makes Atlas exciting and what fires me up about Atlas more than any other thing is we actually do solve a big problem for society. And that problem is there's no good way to save money anymore in our society. And Atlas Real Estate trains individuals, Johns and Joes and Janes, just like all of us, how to buy a rental property and sit on it for 30 years so that one day you can retire, or sit on it so that you can send your kid to college one day. And the genesis for Atlas Real Estate Group actually began in 2009 when my first son was born, okay? When you have a child, you begin to look differently at the future. And my son was born and I said, okay, I want to send my kid to DU. So I immediately sat down with the chancellor at the time at DU, vice chancellor actually. And I said, hey, what is it going to cost to send my kid to go to college? And he said, well, you know, I'll be 18 years from now. It's probably going to be 400 grand, 100 grand a year. And, you know, naturally that was a pretty bad message, but it was an accurate message. And we can see that today that the cost has gone up. So I immediately went home and I got my spreadsheet and I said, okay, if I have a 529 college savings plan and I sink how much money per month in it, and I get 8% a year compounding interest over 18 years, how much money will I be left? Well, I need 400 grand. So I needed to put $1,000 a month per child into that 529 plan, and I needed to get 8% per year for 18 years. Well, I was dead broke. I can't explain to everybody on the call right now. In 2009, 2010, 11, 2013 was one of my most challenging years ever. Probably 11 and 12 in terms of financial. I was dead broke. So the thought of $1,000 a month wasn't attainable. And then what if I had 3 kids? Now I'm $3,000 a month. And I didn't believe I'd do 8% compounded for 18 years. So instead I said, I'm just going to go find a duplex that I can buy for $200,000 or $300,000. Will it cash flow on a 15-year mortgage? And if it breaks even or cash flows on a 15-year mortgage, 15 years from now, that $200,000 home appreciating at 4% per year is now worth 400. And at 400, I can pay it off and I'm done and I send my kid to college. And that's what I did. I bought a duplex. Now fast forward 11 years, 12 years forward, the house is almost paid off. It's worth way more than 400 grand. I didn't expect that, but I solved the problem. That problem that I solved is what Atlas Real Estate is. People come to us and they say, I've saved 100 grand. I got it in a 401k. I'm never going to get to the money I need to have to retire. And we're able to show them a plan where they can go out with our expertise. I mean, how many real estate brokers have you dealt with that actually have purchased several thousand single family real estate doors and has a model around it? None. So this is something that the world doesn't have. If you ask somebody, can you help me buy a rental property? They don't even know where to begin. Then on top of it, they can't help you with the construction. So we do that within Atlas Real Estate. And even most importantly, the property management. How many property managers out there actually own that much real estate? Well, it's pretty hard to be a good property manager when you don't actually own some of your own real estate to understand what the right short-term and long-term decision is. So you combine all those things together, and Atlas today helps, probably 50 people a month buy a long-term rental property. That's one segment of our business. We manage about 4,500 units of residential real estate. So those go hand in hand to make it a passive investment. Those are two of our business lines. That's the big problem that I'm most motivated to figure out, is how people can learn how to retire using real estate. And to quantify how big the problem is, I think I read recently over 50% of baby boomers have less than $100,000 in the bank for retirement. So, that's a big problem. There's two other things that Atlas does, and both of those speak to what I think the future of real estate looks like within residential real estate. One of them is our partnership that we have with Zillow in their Zillow Offers business line. Is anybody, well, this isn't really a Q&A format, but this is in the iBuying category of real estate. Do you think, Barbara, that generally this audience knows what iBuying is and what Zillow Offers and Opendoor is?
I'm going to guess that many of them probably do, but if you have an explanation to share with them, please do. But I'm going to guess that several of them do.
Okay, and for those in the audience, if you want to put in the chat box, I have it open, yes, no, whatever. If I'm getting redundant, just tell me. I see a couple no's. Okay, iBuying. This is a new category of real estate, just started about 2 or 3 years ago. It's typified by two big companies. One is Opendoor and the other is Zillow Offers. There are many others that are coming to the space, like OfferPad, like Redfin, like Keller Williams, okay? Many that are coming into the space. But the big ones are Opendoor, who just went public via a SPAC. If you guys want to talk about SPACs, we can talk about that a little bit, but they just went public. Zillow, of course, is already public. So I'm going to speak about Zillow in particular. The consumer experience in Zillow is the following. I want to sell my house. Well, what is it worth? What are other houses going for in my neighborhood? Let's go to Zillow. Oh, my Zestimate says that it's worth $400,000. Now, when you go to Zillow, instead of just seeing your Zestimate and getting to learn about your property and other properties, below that Zestimate is a little button. And that button says, hey, why don't you just sell your home to Zillow at fair market value? And you can sell it today or 90 days from now, and there's no inspections or anything. You can have total flexibility, and you can have certainty on what your price is right off the bat. Well, then the person clicks that button. As soon as they click that button, through our partnership with Zillow in Colorado, that gets routed to Atlas Real Estate. Atlas Real Estate says, hey, yeah, Zillow will buy your home. Now we're going to figure out the actual value, not the Zestimate, which is computer generated that says 400 grand. We're going to go figure out the real value. Oh, real value came in at 405,000. So, sir, would you, or ma'am, would you like to sell your home to Zillow for $405,000? They'll buy it from you in 5 days if you want. Or if you want to have a 90-day contract so you can go find your next home that you're going to live in, we'll do it with that situation. Oh, and if you need help with mortgage, if you need help with title, all that, we have that all here. So in Colorado, we're Zillow's exclusive broker partner. meaning that we help them to buy every home that they buy, and we help them to sell every home that they sell. And we've done this to the tune of, thousands of homes in Colorado for Zillow over the last couple of years. And so what has Zillow done for the marketplace? Well, think about the buying and selling of a home versus the buying and the selling of almost any other product that you purchase in your life. We've come to a place in the on-demand economy that if I want to buy something, I go online, I click, it's sent to me. I don't like it, I send it back, I keep it. It's just pain-free in every category. We've done it with cars even. You go to Carvana and they've got a dang car vending machine. You say, okay, just deliver it to my house. Last car I bought, I didn't look at it. I said, yeah, this is the one I want, send it over. I liked it, cool, I'm gonna keep it. That's the experience. So why in the real estate world is it, I'm gonna put my house up for sale, I'm gonna hope that I get an offer on it. Once I get an offer on it, they're gonna do an inspection. The offer fell out, that didn't work. Then I get an under offer again, same inspection, then they retrade on me for $25,000 discount. All the while, I don't know when I'm gonna move out and I have to come and go every time there's a showing. It's a terrible, clunky process. Zillow says, hey, we'll just make it easy on you. We'll buy it. Once they buy it, now I'm living in another house, but now Zillow owns it. They're gonna do a little renovation. After they've done that renovation, they put it back on the market. So what else are they doing? They're creating fluidity in the market in a short period of time. Fluidity that we need more inventory right now. And they've now facilitated a transaction. That's iBuying in broad stroke. Why does Zillow want to do it? You know what? They want to own the platform. What does that mean to own the platform? Good example. If I say, you want to search something online, what do you think of? Oh, I'm going to go to Google. I want to buy something online. Go to Amazon. I want to go from Denver to Boulder in somebody else's car. Uber, right? Those are all platform owners. When you think residential real estate, 70%, 80% of people already start their search at Zillow. Well, they want to own the platform of residential real estate. That's my guess at this. And so they're able to do that by saying, we can help you with this other layer of residential real estate as well. So that's the third category of Atlas's business, is that we work with Zillow in deep partnership with them in helping them to drive forth a better consumer experience in the purchase and sale of residential real estate. It's called iBuying. It is a giant new category of real estate. And I welcome everyone to try and open their eyes to it. There's a lot going on in that category. It is the absolute top of the funnel in terms of the real estate transaction for a home buyer and home seller. Should I go to number 4? Yeah, okay. So the fourth area of Atlas Real Estate is our institutional business. So we actually are an institutional buyer of single family real estate. I don't know if the press release is out yet, but we've just developed a new joint venture fund. And so we're going to buy in the next iteration, probably about $1 billion of real estate in the next couple of years. And this will be all in single family. And so we're going to go out and buy individual homes. We're going to do the fix up and we're going to own those in a rental portfolio. And what's amazing is that in the institutional real estate world, you've had a very, very big shift in where capital can be placed in real estate. You know, traditionally, private equity institutions, heck, DU and their endowment, they say, okay, we want to have exposure to real estate. Where do they get that exposure? They own an office building. They own industrial real estate. They own multifamily. Well, you know, retail, malls, some of those forms of real estate are kind of dead now. Like COVID has accelerated consumer patterns so dramatically in such a short period of time that we've realized going to a mall is not an enjoyable experience for a lot of people. Like if I want to go shopping, I want to do it from my desktop. Ship it to me. If I don't like it, I'll send it back. That means that all this mall infrastructure that we have, that used to be a great place for institutional real estate to get a coupon, is probably going to die and it's going to shift over to industrial. Well, what about offices? We're probably overbuilt in office to the tune of 2x of what we need, because traditional companies, we're not going to have every person in the office every day. We're going to have people in the office, but I probably need half as much office space as I used to need. So where's all that capital going to go? Well, the thesis that we're playing on is we've been buying single family for rent for about 8 or 9 years for these big institutions. And now we see that there's going to be even more demand for single family for rent because big capital needs yield. And this is a great place to capture it. And we think we can be at the forefront. We frankly have been at the forefront for a long time of this evolving source and placement of capital. So that's the fourth side of Atlas Real Estate. We're 33 minutes in. I've talked about the 4 business lines of Atlas Real Estate. I haven't talked about any of the other endeavors. So maybe I pause here. I see one question in the chat.
Yeah, and I just asked Jeff Engelstad, who's one of our faculty. He had posted a question. Jeff, why don't you on mic and go ahead and ask?
Yeah, sure, Ryan. I was just back to the iBuying. I mean, I'm fascinated by that, but I'm wondering how it works out for the seller as opposed to a traditional sale, because I would think, not knowing anything about it, I would think that if I'm a seller, I'm going to kind of take it in the shorts if I'm really going to be paying for that convenience of the iBuying. Is that true or not?
Great question. When you go through the convenience of iBuying, the biggest value that you're going to receive is you're going to no longer take a risk. When you're looking to sell your home, you're actually taking risks that you get the price that you want, that you won't get retraded on, that you won't have the repairs. You have a lot of time risk associated with the showings and what have you. What's fascinating is you're not taking any risk and you're not really giving up reward either. Okay, we do the values. We value so many dang homes on a daily basis through our analyst team. These are fair market values. If your home is worth $405,000, that's the purchase price with Zillow. So the first thing is the actual purchase price is a fair market value. Now you are taking one risk. In the market that we're in right now, you might want to sell your home for 405, but because we're in such an incredible seller's market, it might get bid up to 425 or 435. So that's true. We don't know what's going to happen when it actually hits the market. The second piece of this, though, is what is the cost to do this? Well, when Zillow buys it, they buy it with a program fee. And the program fee is a fee that they charge you for doing this. And generally the fee runs anywhere between 4% of the purchase price all the way up to 12%, depending on where you are and what market you're in. Most sellers already realize they're probably going to pay at least 6 or 7% in total fees in selling their home with traditional agents. So if you're a traditional selling agent, you're going to get 3%. If you're a traditional buying agent from the buyer side, that's another 3%. Plus you have title insurance and other things. So it gets up to 7 pretty quickly. So in some cases, Zillow is saying, well, we'll only take 4 because we feel really certain about this number. In some cases, they're saying, geez, we're in a new market. It's not such a good market. We got to do 10. So it really varies, but that's where Zillow is able to capture some value for the service that they provide. What's fascinating about this is that if you study this model, Zillow has stated very clearly that they're not buying these houses in order to make money on each home that they purchase. The reason why Zillow is doing this is because they're trying to add value to the real estate experience, to the consumer experience. I don't believe that they're making money on a per house basis across the board. And I believe that their goal is to add value to the real estate experience. It's amazing what they're doing. It's highly impressive. And we have grown so much as a company and as operators in being close to an innovator like that as they built this model.
So Jack, did you have a question, Jack?
Yeah, I did.
Go ahead.
I'm curious to know, do you know what portion of people who decide to do this, like iBuying or selling with Zillow, do you know if the majority of them are first-time home sellers, or maybe they had a bad experience with an agent, first of all?
It's not the majority are first-time home sellers. However, it does have an inclination to be closer to the first or second-time home seller because there's limits to where this works based on the value of the home. So like in a market like in Denver, Zillow might say, hey, we're probably not going to buy houses that are multi-million-dollar houses because Zillow's taking on too much risk. It's a lot harder to know how long you're going to hold that multi-million-dollar house. There's a time risk there. So they might say, hey, we want to buy houses that are from $0 to $1 million. And I don't know the specifics. This isn't about the specifics, but when you start to limit the top end of the value of the home, you're probably more so dealing with people that are first and second time home sellers, as opposed to the person that owns a $5 million home. They've probably owned several homes along their journey.
Sweet,
All
thank
right.
you.
Okay, Ryan, let's go ahead and move on to a couple of the other endeavors you're involved in.
Yeah, great. I'll spend maybe a little less time, but we'll see. One of them is Reactive, and I put the website there in the chat box. Here's my experience as a commercial real estate owner. I own great real estate. It's priced very, very well when I'm trying to lease it, and it's located in the middle of Rhino. And even though I'm in a highly desirable area and it's priced incredibly well, and I'll do a great TI package for the person coming in, as soon as my existing 5-year or 10-year tenant moves out of the building and I'm trying to lease this for a new 5-year or 10-year tenant, it takes 6 to 12 months before I get economics again, before I get rent again. And that's been the experience, I think, for decades in commercial real estate. And so I began with Reactive, trying to figure out how do we solve this problem from the landlord perspective of, I have so much vacancy. Like, shouldn't I be able to monetize that vacancy at some level with a flexible lease, with a short-term lease, you name it? And so we developed Reactive, which is a commercial real estate marketplace. I, as a commercial real estate landlord, can post my vacancy up on Reactive. And right now we probably have about 500 listings in Denver, made up of some of my real estate, but very little of it actually, as well as those of other commercial real estate owners. And during that 6 to 12 months of vacancy, you have tenants out there that are able to say, geez, I just want to try my idea. So on the other side of our marketplace, you have the supply made up of landlord. On the other side is the demand made up of tenants. Well, actually, the demand side, the tenant side, the need there is actually way greater than the landlord. I've been an entrepreneur my whole career. The first time I ever started my business, my little cleaning company, I said, oh, cool, we need an office space and a warehouse. And I went out and I signed a 5-year lease on an office space and a warehouse. I was personally guaranteed. I was probably spending $3,000 a month on this space. I had to put money into the space to get it fixed out to a degree. And I had never sold my product one time. I had no idea if my business was going to make it or not. What business do I have? Why the heck am I doing a 5-year commitment and personally guaranteed when I don't even know if my damn business, my idea will work? So imagine the tenant journey in commercial real estate. We're telling people that have never consumed commercial real estate to go rent the Taj Mahal. You know, in the residential journey, there's great steps. You live with your parents, you go to college, you live in a dorm, you get a roommate, you get your own apartment. Finally, you buy your own place. And you buy your own place with a couple of roommates. Then you buy your place with your spouse. You know, what a nice journey. What steps? There's no steps in the journey to commercial real estate. So Reactive enables tenants to begin their shopping experience, begin their journey in commercial real estate. So they come onto the site and they say, hey, I need it for a day. Cool. Type it in, done. It's like Airbnb. It's booked. Oh, this landlord wants $5,000 a month. I'll offer $3,000 and see what they say. Oh, landlord comes over and says, yeah, sweet. Just don't make me think about it. There's no TI, there's no legal, there's not a broker there, which we work with brokers. Brokers are a huge part of it, but it's just, this is the easy part. You can take it for 3 months and pay me $3,000 a month, done. So what are we doing? We're creating fluidity in the commercial real estate marketplace. And what we've come to realize with Reactive is we're the top of the funnel. The person that says, I want to do my pop-up, I'm on Etsy and I sell my jewelry on Etsy. Well, I want to do a pop-up for 2 months prior to Christmas. Then they do the pop-up and they could do it because it was attainable. It was democratized. After they've done that pop-up, they realize, oh, geez, I actually want to try this for a year. And I'll take this space for a year and see if I can make it. Then they make it for a year and they say, oh, I'm ready for a 5-year lease. So they come to Reactive and they say, I'm ready for a 5-year lease. And we say, great, here's what you need to look like for a landlord to give you a 5-year lease and for us to refer you to a great commercial real estate broker that fits what you need, and they'll actually give you the time and attention that you need to land your 5-year lease. And then we do that handoff for them and they have the win, the experience, the win. So that's where Reactive began, and it had to do with vacant real estate and optimizing that vacant real estate. Where it ends, I'm not sure, because we're realizing that The explanation I just gave you guys about having 6 to 12 months vacancy, that's a good explanation. But there's another one, a deeper one. Let's look at a 24-hour clock. Okay, we talk about restaurants as an example as being occupied. A restaurant is in this space. It's occupied restaurant space. Let's imagine that it's a spec restaurant. That spec restaurant is probably a dinner time restaurant that's open from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we say that's occupied. Well, they're only open for 8 hours a day. What about the other 2/3 of that clock? What about the other 66% of the day? It's actually vacant. Why don't we put in the breakfast burrito guy in there from 6 a.m. to noon? Why don't we have the sauce maker in the commissary kitchen in there from midnight to 4 a.m.? And so we're starting to see that actually people want to share commercial real estate. Here we are, we're out there in the world, we're building commercial real estate left and right now. The reality is we have a ton of it that's vacant, and all of it is underutilized, all of it. University of Denver, there are 6,000 hours in a year. Traditional office space is occupied for about 2,000 of those hours. An institution like the University of Denver, because of summertime and because of the vacations and because of the nature of consumption of education, it's about 1,000 hours at a university is actually occupied. So we're saying that our occupied real estate is only 1/6 occupied. So I think that we're going to begin to realize that our consumption of real estate is really going to change as we optimize its use. And those are some of the problems that we're trying to tackle with reactive. Should I go to the next one?
Yeah, any questions on any of that, anyone, before we go forward? Let's see, we're at 15 minutes left. So let's go ahead and hit the next one, Ryan.
All right, the next one I'll spend a little less time on, but it's a passion project for me. It's called Archipelago Clubs, also in the chat box. Archipelago is a community. It's all about discovering how I can have rich community in my life, how I can be a better individual. Because one of the things that I've realized since the time that I graduated from DU, some of the traditional constructs of community in our lives have really eroded. I think community is the #1 item to a human thriving in life. Okay, we all know that in order to survive, we need food and clothing and shelter. I've never met a happy human that didn't also have community in their life. And so then you ask yourself, how do we enable community to happen in our lives? And the truth is, we don't have them anymore. You know, we're stuck behind the screen. We're on the social media, which isn't true community for me. It used to be hundreds of years ago. In fact, Dr. Adler, a sociology professor, was the first person to teach me this at DU. It used to be religion was how we discovered community. It doesn't look that way anymore for a lot of people in society in America. Now, how do we get our community? A lot of times it's like we go to the Broncos game. Well, it's not really like a healthy community. It's kind of like, I'm a Broncos fan, you're a Chiefs fan. Let's go kill each other, you know? And so I just said, hey, how do we discover a way to generate community around really positive, safe environments where we can explore what areas of our life we're strong in, and frankly, help me find my blind spots, help me find my weaknesses. And so Archipelago is people, places, and programs. We put on programs every day. I think we have like 25 to 35 programs a month that we put on for our members. Our membership is a couple hundred people right now in Denver. And we have really cool places, amazing places, and they all correlate with reactive, actually, because without reactive, we wouldn't have places like we have in Denver. This is our Archipelago website here. And this is an attic. This place that you're looking at is an attic. It's right off of I-25 and 20th Avenue. There's a big red brick building there. I took one of my buildings that this was our old office for Atlas Real Estate Group. We occupied it from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We had an old dingy attic up there, and we said, geez, let's try to optimize the attic. And we turned it into this. And now daily there's programs up there and gatherings and people get to hang out and do stuff. This is the exterior of the building here. And, this is the interior where we gather. Well, now because of Reactive and because of Archipelago, this space is optimized. At about 6 o'clock every day, we have programs there. And sometimes the programs go until 6 a.m. And frankly, I'm there every morning at 6 a.m. getting personal time and working on my meditation routine and journaling and what have you. And that's a good example of optimizing a space, but it's also a good example of how we create a place for people to gather in. So this is our garage. This is a Placemaker's garage. It's over on Tennyson, the Tennyson Strip over in Berkeley. And in here we have, a sauna and a cold bath and, Maker's Garage and Maker's Den, as well as a place to sort of gather. So that's Archipelago. It's a really fun project. We're about to open it up in Phoenix. And it's actually amazing how much demand there is in our world for people to have like an intentional gathering spot that's safe. I find that many times we're not able to strip the shield and get vulnerable in our community. And that's probably at the heart of Archipelago. So there's probably a couple other businesses I can talk about as well, but that's a good stopping point.
All right, anyone, what I'd like you to do, if you've got questions for Ryan or just comments or something you'd like to discuss, go ahead and unmic and ask directly if you have anything. And Ryan, while we're waiting on that, share with these students in particular opportunities that might be available through some of your companies and for internships potentially, or employment or something like that.
Yeah, this is a really big one. I think right now we're probably hiring for at least 10 positions across the family of companies. Those positions really vary. As an example, and this was another DU alum that we picked off about a month ago, we hired a sort of a chief financial officer for our fund, which is a very well-heeled and very high-level position, all the way through to the beginning point. We have a property management role where this is something I'm really proud of. Our property manager, which a lot of people would say is an entry-based role to the real estate world. My average property manager at Atlas Real Estate owns over 6 units of rental real estate. And so when you talk about like how business can change the society that we're in, getting our employees to thrive to a degree that they can say, yeah, I've got a cool place to work that's rich in community and culture. I've got a cool place to work where I get a great wage, above market wage, but also through working here, I've learned a life skill that ensures that one day I will retire and I will survive and I will not be a burden to my family. And then over on the reactive side, we have tech needs for developers to help us build the tech. We have leadership needs in understanding how we can share our story to the world so we can get more demand and tenants coming to the platform. We have sales needs where you're going to talk on the phone with landlords and tell them about why it's crazy that they're listing their properties on CoStar and you literally can't see one photo. There's not a floor plan. There's not a walkthrough. There's not a video. You're like, do you understand what year this is? There's no consumer experience here for your property that you're trying to show to the world. So up and down. It sounds like the positions are posted in the Daniels, Pioneer, Careers, and in the Burns update. So that's important. Thank you, Cece, who we don't know what her nickname is. So Cece. So a lot of positions, a lot of areas that we'd like to fill within Archipelago. We're going to continue to expand our offering, I think, and we're doing that in Phoenix currently. So that's a place of expansion. And if you're interested in those, I'll put my personal email on the chat box. And I'll probably redirect you to the right place from there, but always happy to help with that. I think internships are also a possibility. The big thing with internships is I'm so long-term focused and long-term oriented. I think some of the success we've had as a company is in realizing that we put in very long-term roots with the people we engage in. And internships are a short hit. So we're always trying to ask ourselves, how do we make sure that we provide value to that individual, but that also we're building through long-term within our engagement. People always put ideas and opportunities ahead of me, in front of me, like, let's just go buy this deal, let's just go do this. And I always respond with, Is this something we can replicate? And is it something that we can scale? And is it fit within our core values as a company? Our core values as a company is good for you, good for me, good for everything. And it's really important, the thing, because that's the planet. And if it doesn't prescribe to that, then we don't do it.
Adam, you've got a question. Go ahead and ask.
Yeah, so I have kind of two questions. One being, knowing what you know now, what is one piece of advice you'd give your past self? Okay. And secondly, what's one way for us as undergrads? I mean, it's hard to kind of go into these positions certain times. What's one way to kind of have us stand apart or to look attractive to companies like yours?
You know what? Great question, Adam. It's the same answer in both cases. Passion. Passion leads every time. Screw the money, screw what your parents tell you, screw anything, follow your damn passion. And if it's something that you want to do and you don't show passion to me and we're sitting down in front of you, you're dead. There's no chance. I want to hear a damn heartbeat. If I'm in a meeting with you, if I'm in an interview with you and you don't think about how you can bring it, then why am I spending my time on this? Before I go into a meeting, I don't care if that meeting was somebody that's an interview for the first time in the most junior position. I don't care if it's with my team and that team has heard me speak 50 times before. I'm getting myself mentally prepared for what I've got to do to bring value to their life. Okay? I'm asking myself that with every minute that I spend in my life. Am I passionate about what I'm doing with my life? Because otherwise, I'm saying goodbye to that minute. I'm saying goodbye to that year. It's all passion for me. The money thing, man, gosh, we spend way too much time thinking about money. I have more money than I ever thought I'd ever have in my entire life. I've blown it away in every way that I could ever imagine. You know what? I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated by deep, meaningful relationships in my life, and I'm motivated by solving a problem. Those are my passions.
Okay. I had a second or like kind of a follow-up, but it kind of left me. But
that's okay. I got you a follow-up for you. The other thing that I would say is think about things in a long-term fashion. We're very focused on get rich quick. Mm-hmm. And that's not fulfillment. The long-term stuff is the stuff that I find to be really, really compelling. And I probably was a little too focused on the short term when I was young, because I said, I want to start my own business so that somebody can't tell me what to do and I want to work half days. Actually, it turns out, and most of my friends know it, I work all the time. But it doesn't feel like work because I actually like it. And when people tell me I'm a workaholic, I'm like, sweet. I'm addicted to something that provides joy and love to my life and the people around me. Yeah, cool. Call me a workaholic. I don't care.
So now I would assume you're a believer in find your passion and then the money will come with that.
Yeah, I am. I think that it's also really important to understand that there's a business model associated with everything. I am a big believer in find your passion and the money will follow, but there's sort of a thing that's missing on this. A passion needs to meet sustainability. Sustainability, the biggest ingredient in sustainability is that you can pay your damn bills. Okay? Like sustainability is a very deep term that means a lot of things, but if there isn't fuel in the machine stops working. And our fuel in our society is capital, it's money. So you need to understand where that passion can meet. I have a lot of friends that are amazing artists, incredible artists. And the beauty of what they've done is that they've been able to make their entire life about art because they found a business model within their artistry that made their artistry it made it sustainable. It made it ongoing. It made it long-term. So let's say that I wanted to travel. Well, maybe the way that I'm going to travel is I'm going to be a digital nomad. I realize that I'm going to get a job with a company that I like because I need to like them. But they might not be the best company on the planet. I might not love them through the roof, but they're a company that enables me to be a digital nomad because I actually want to travel. That's what I want to do. And in doing that, I'll discover my passions for life. And it ends up being that petri dish to some degree, but I'm going to look that in the eye and I'm going to keep my passion in mind. So that's a tricky one, but I do think sustainability needs to be feathered into that passion.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, I think we've got about 2 minutes. Is there any last burning questions that anybody has for Ryan?
I like Jeff's comments. He wants to be in the NBA, but he's 60 and 5'5". Cool. What other passions do you have? It's not sustainable. I like that comment.
I like your comment about how it has to be sustainable. That was my point.
Yeah.
Gosh dang, Jake, you're on the call. I didn't see you until this comment. Jake Shields is on the call. He's working at Atlas as an analyst. That's amazing. I didn't even notice that. There's so many people on the stream here. Jake, tell everybody on the call one thing about Atlas that is bad. Like seriously, something that like, I don't want to be biased. What's the worst thing about working at Atlas?
I want to be in the office.
Good answer.
And actually just last night we learned we can't come in. So
Good answer. Yeah, that sucks about working at Atlas. We are a company that is steeped in culture and community. And anybody says that there's a new way where people don't want to be together and they want to work remotely. Yeah, there's some real benefit with that. But if you think long-term in business, what's the greatest value of every single business? Every single business, what's your greatest thing that you have? It's your people. So you're seriously saying that you're going to let your people not interact and have harmony and problem solve and laugh and cry together? Like we're going to take the greatest thing. We're going to say, go over there, go over there, go over there, go over there. No, that's not going to work. The companies that are going to excel in the next chapter are the ones that say, yeah, we're going to give you more flexibility. We made a mistake on that over the last 100 years. We told you to be here at this time and leave at this time. They're the companies that are going to say, yep, we're going to give you flexibility. You're going to be able to work from home. But we're also going to kind of tell you there's a lot of value that you're not thinking about for the long term. This is the long-term value of being able to work cohesively in a team and feel like you're in the trenches with somebody through the successes and the failures. That's why it's going to be 50% as much office use, but it's still going to be office use. Office isn't dead.
All right. Hey there, Jake. Thanks for joining us. I see that DU shirt there, that logo on your shirt. So thanks for joining us. All right. So Ryan, thanks a lot for everything. And do you have any objections if an individual student wants to reach out to you or?
I definitely do not have any objections. I'm just going to play on this with Adam as well. From the thing I would give my prior self advice. I had amazing mentors in my life. I don't know how I was blessed to have it. I must have stumbled into it. I did work very, very hard on it. But the mentors in my life are giant, absolutely giant. I take such responsibility on being able to help where I can. And so what I would tell my younger self is get your head out of your butt. People want to help you. You need to show up and you need to ask them for help. You need to say, hey, what do I do? And show up and show up. That's actually something that I did get on. I caught on to that just a little bit later. I was probably 25 or 26. I wish I would have caught on to it when I was 18 because people want to help. And you need to be bold enough to ask for it. And you are in a unique moment where you as a younger person have something that I don't have. I'm actually, when I sit down with you, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I got to learn and study this person because I don't get what it is to be a 20-year-old anymore. I'm 40. It's 20 years removed. I need to know what the next evolution is. There's creativity in those bones. There's a different way of looking at life. There's mutual exchange and value there. So I'll hit you up, or you guys can hit me up. I'm happy to share. If I don't have time, I'll tell you, but it'll happen later. I have to go because I have to catch a flight. This has been awesome. Thank you.